Hey loves, I'm Candace and welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much for following along on my journey with me. And if you guys are not yet subscribed to my channel, please be sure to hit that subscribe button down below so that you don't miss any of the updates that I will be posting as it relates to my journey. So since I am now 2 weeks away from my frozen embryo transfer, I wanted to do a video and talk about some of my feelings, some of my concerns, my thoughts going into another IVF frozen embryo transfer after my first transfer failed. So my last frozen embryo transfer was in October of last year, 2017, and it has been like 6 months since I have dealt with the loss of my only 2 embryos and having to start all over again on my IVF journey. So now, 6 months later, I have done another IVF cycle and I have 3 frozen embryos left out of all of the embryos and the eggs that we had starting out. So I have 3 embryos left and I am preparing to transfer either 1 or 2 of those embryos in about 2 weeks. And so I just have a lot of different emotions that I am going through right now. Of course, I am very, very excited. I'm excited because my egg retrieval was in January and I was thinking I would be going into another transfer in February, and so ever since then I have experienced delays. So the first month I had to do the sonohystogram, and then the next month I had to do the ERA test and the mock transfer. And so finally 3 months later I am ready for my frozen embryo transfer. So I was really excited. I don't know, I'm just anticipating like what's gonna happen, how this one, how this transfer is gonna be different than the last transfer. It's also one of those things like when you have like a bad breakup, or like when you're in a relationship and it ends badly, and then the next time you get into a relationship you're kind of like a little bit more cautious, like you're a little bit more like guarded. So that's kind of how I feel now. Like I've gone through this IVF transfer situation before in the past and it was not successful. So I feel like the first time I went into transfer I was just like so excited, and in my mind I was like, I know this is working. And so I had my hopes set really high, and then when it failed I was literally like devastated. So now I'm going into my second transfer just a little bit more cautious, like very excited, and knowing that my life could potentially change forever if this transfer is successful. But at the same time I'm very scared. I'm scared of the possibility of it not working again. And at this point in time, I have done everything I can do to make this transfer successful. We did a whole nother IVF cycle. I gave up dairy. I did acupuncture every week. I took a lot of supplements. I changed my diet completely. I was a lot more active. So I've literally done everything to get as many embryos as I can get, and then we end up with 3 PGS tested embryos, which I am super excited about. Then even after my retrieval, I've literally done everything I can do. I've had all the tests that I can have. I've been preparing my body for the last 6 months since my last failed transfer. And so I'm at the point now where I'm like, I've done everything I can do, and so there's nothing else I can do to make this successful. So I have to literally go into this next transfer like I have done all I can do and there's nothing else I can do but trust the doctor and trust God that whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And so that's really where I am now, just very cautious but very excited. Like I don't want to allow myself to get so excited to the point that when the transfer happens and if the outcome is not favorable, then I'm devastated again. So I'm just kind of going in just kind of chill, like I've done everything I can do and that's all I can do. And so I still am deciding between transferring 1 or 2 embryos, and I probably won't make the decision until like the last minute when I have to sign the paper for them to thaw the embryos. So that's causing me a lot of anxiety. Just knowing that just trying to figure out, like, do I transfer 2 and have the possibility of twins, or the possibility of losing one or both of them, or do I just play it really safe and transfer 1 and just pray for 1 healthy baby? So there's a lot going on in my head right now as far as how I'm preparing myself for this transfer after a failed transfer. It's funny because some days I wake up and I'm counting down the days, and I'm just in expectation, like, oh, I know this has to be it for me. I know this has to be, like, you know, this is it, like it has to be. And then some days I wake up and I'm just like, what if I have to go through this all over again? Like, what if this isn't it? For anybody who knows me, I am super positive. I'm very, very positive. I'm very upbeat. But this whole journey has just taken a toll on me. It has literally drained me and exhausted me and tried to rob me of my joy and of my peace. And it's just, I'm just so tired. And so I'm like, this has to be it. This has to be it for me, because I don't know how much further I can go on this journey without receiving my baby. So that's where I am now. I'm going into another transfer in a few weeks, and I'm just in expectation, and I'm just hoping and praying that this is it for us. And then, you know, I get so inspired by all of the other women who are having successful transfers, and so I'm like, okay, you know, I know that can be me. Like, I know that can be me. So then that inspires you. But at the same time, you're like, well, I did everything right the first time, at least I thought I did, and it didn't work. So is it gonna work this time? You know, so it's just a whole, like, your mind is just like going like this all the time, and just all the possibilities of all of the what ifs, all of the hope, all of the I hope, all of the fingers crossed, all of the prayers, all of that is just, you just hope that it's enough. And so I'm going into this transfer just a lot more cautious, just hoping that that extra 24 hours of progesterone was the missing piece of the puzzle that was the reason why our first transfer was unsuccessful. And we may never know why that transfer was unsuccessful, but it was just so disheartening because everything was perfect. My embryos were PGS tested, my lining was perfect. I'm a relatively healthy girl, so it seems like it should have worked. And so now going into the same situation again where everything seems to be perfect. We did the ERA test, we did this on histogram, and it's almost like you're in the same situation again and you're just hoping for a different outcome. It's just crazy because I guess I have to treat this transfer differently anyway, because we did the ERA test and we know that I needed more progesterone. So I feel like regardless of what I would have done the first transfer, it probably still wouldn't have worked because I didn't have enough progesterone to sustain the pregnancy. So I think after being on a journey like this for almost 10 years, you have to figure out ways to remain peaceful. And so at this point in my life, I know I'm not in control. I have given up complete control probably like 5 years ago, and knowing that I have to trust in God's plan. And so at this point, I'm just like, here I am. I'm going to do what I feel I'm being led to do, and then I'm just going to believe that you'll come and do the rest. And so that's really where I am now. And I think another thing that I'm trying to work on is knowing that the failure of the first transfer was not necessarily, it wasn't my fault. Like, it's nothing that I could have done to make it successful, especially if the issue was the progesterone and not having enough. And so that's another thing I keep trying to tell myself, like, you know, you did everything right. I did everything that I was supposed to do. And a failed IVF cycle, even though it's not easy, it's nothing that I can blame myself for or blame anybody for. It just happens. It happens with science. It's not 100%, you know, and I'm just grateful for science and technology and for the advancement of science to allow us to even have more tests, such as the ERA test, and other things such as the PGS testing to test the chromosomes of our embryos before we transfer them. So those types of things I am very grateful for, and we just go in and we give it another try. It's crazy because about a month or two ago, I made a video and I talked about how I was so frustrated that my transfer had been delayed, and you know, and it's crazy as I look back and I think about that. I was not ready for transfer then, and maybe that was a sign that, you know, if I transferred again, it probably wouldn't have been successful, because I did need to do this ERA test to find out about the progesterone. And so I think back to that video and to that headspace that I was in, and I was just so frustrated, you know, with the delays and waiting and disappointment and all these tests and all this pain that I'm going through. And now just knowing where I am mentally, I'm so much more prepared for my transfer than I was, you know, let's say a month or two ago. And I'm happy that I just kind of slowed down a little bit. I really listened to the doctor and allowed him to do these additional tests that he wanted to do. And so I am excited to have my last and final appointment coming up, where I can finalize everything with him and make sure that everything's looking good for transfer. And I am happy that I did wait. I wasn't prepared mentally. I was still just dealing with the loss of my embryos, and just dealing with actually having to do another IVF round was still like, I was still frustrated about that, having to start all over again. And so for the next week or so, I am going to be preparing myself physically and mentally. And I think for next week's video, I'm going to show you guys a little bit of my week and what I'm doing to get ready for another transfer. And so I'm just going to try to take it easy and just really work on doing some things for me and getting my body ready, because I'm going to be starting those shots again. I'm going to be hopefully carrying another human being for 9 months, and so I need to begin getting my mind ready, getting my body prepared. And so I'm gonna give you guys just a little bit, probably next week, as to what I've been doing to get ready to prepare for my transfer. I think that's it. I just wanted to share this with you guys. I hope that you guys will continue to think of me and pray for me, as I am just a few weeks away from my transfer. And like I said, of course, I will continue to keep you guys updated as far as what is going on in the journey. I thank you guys so much for watching and for following along, and for all of your positive and encouraging messages that you guys send me. I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you guys are not yet subscribed to my channel, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. I am trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by my birthday, which is in May. So 1K by my birthday. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you share my channel with anyone that you feel may need a little bit of encouragement on their journey, or anybody who you feel may need to be informed about IVF or infertility. So I want to thank you guys so much, and I will be back next week with another update. Bye.